Okay, Christina?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, so we're in right now. We'll wait a little bit for people to get in here.
And I'm going to try to share this. Like you said, you can't share it, but I think we can share it on our side. I'm doing that right now.
Okay. Let me see if I can see it. Are y'all going live from the local lens page?
Yes.
Okay. If you go to the local lens page and then the bottom right, there's share. I'm going to share it right now.
Boom, I see it. Perfect.
How's it going, everybody jumping in here? We have a very special guest today. I'm so excited. We're going to wait just a minute before we start. Let's see.
I'm trying to think of a funny, okay.
Hi, Tamika. Hi, Emmy Lou.
Oh, our people, man.
Yes.
They come through every time.
So Emmy Lou was doing her Ancestry.com, and she has a bunch of like 7th and 8th cousins that have the last name Garcia. So we might be related after all, just as a follow-up.
Yeah. You know, that is a good activity to do. We got plenty of time to trace that history. Yeah. I have to check that out.
All right.
Let's see here.
Tamika, how's it going? Well, I mean, it's Thursday. We're just trying to get through it day by day. And we have CC Sutton here today to help us get through it. So I'm excited about that. All right.
And CC is coming to the rescue. Sorry, everybody's getting.
That's okay. Well, while you're doing that, CC, introduce yourself to our viewers. Let people know, who are you and what do you do?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, and most importantly, I'm Houston Strong, a native Houstonian. I've lived here all my wonderful life, and Houston's been good to me. So I am now in the process of trying to keep Houston encouraged and in the right mental space to handle all of this. It has come by surprise for all of us. And so I'm just here to be a resource, but been here again for however old I am now, 36 years, went to U of H, go Cougs. Whoop, whoop. And I have a sweet little fur baby. I see your fur baby behind there, Christina.
Just a pillow right there. That's an alligator.
And Ralph, how about you? Do you have a fur baby?
I don't. Not right now. I have an actual kid who requires a lot more work. But he's taking the nap right now, so I'm pretty chill and relaxed. But so CC, what are some of the questions people are coming at you with right now? Because tell people what you did before and how that translates into what you're doing now.
Absolutely. So I'm a work-life performance leader and speaker. I consult different companies, primarily in the oil and gas industry, on how to get more productivity out of their employees. And I really take a deep dive into talking about work-life rhythm. Forget all that balance stuff. We talk a lot about work-life rhythm and how incorporating self-care into that regimen helps to bring down a lot of the stress and the burnout. Because I don't know if you all knew this, but one of the biggest heart attack risks comes from burnout.
I can agree. I mean, I'm in my 30s still. I only have like a month left, but and then I'll be hitting my 40s. But I literally feel like you can feel the stress. You can feel it. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter the age. The stresses can do some crazy, wild things to your body. Yes. And I think a big part of it, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but like a big part of it is this like guilt that we all have. Like today, for instance, it's what, 3:16. At 2:45, I was able to give my kids lunch. And it was really probably the first time all week that I've even given them a lunch. And I'm like, you just feel so bad because there's so many things to do.
Absolutely. And Christina, you hit the nail right on the head. That's all I hear consistently. I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty. And the very first thing that we have to do, especially at a time like this, is that we have to extend ourselves permission first and grace secondly.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge thing. We have to let go of the guilt because we'll be guilty this whole pandemic.
Yeah, right. I mean, how can we not?
Yeah, it's very easy to. And that's why the other thing that I'm getting to, people are not running out of physical activities to do. But what I'm starting to see now is that they're needing help with that mental space. Right. And that's the part that's going to keep us from going insane.
That's tricky. So what do you recommend? Hold on. Let me take notes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I am very big on getting the day started right. I am your meditation, mindfulness, gratefulness girl. I'm always going to start off self-care conversations with starting off your day on the right path.
Okay.
And so that means taking some time, maybe having a little journal of gratitude. What I encourage you to do is sit down with the kiddos and the family every morning and say, hey, let's talk about 3 things that we're grateful for today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, CC, are you a fan of schedules, or does it just depend on how you operate? Because we've been doing this for 2 weeks. My family has not had one schedule.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, Ralph, because that is one of my key components really to making this self-care thing work. Let's be honest, we all have great intentions, but by the time the kids wake up, the intentions have flown out the window. Yeah. And so really what we have to do is we have to be proactive, and believe it or not, we have to schedule this time for self-care. I know that you feel like you can get it done without it, but so many times my clients are like, once I put it on the calendar, I got it done.
Right. Well, and
what does that look like? Does self-care, does it mean an hour watching Netflix? Does it mean a walk by yourself, a warm bath? Is it just?
Here's the beautiful thing about self-care. It is all about how you choose to do it and for however long you decide to do it. Medically, it's described as something that you do deliberately to preserve your health. So if you want to live, you need to be doing some self-care. And so what that means is that I may need to get a family calendar, something like Cozy. Have you heard of Cozy? It's an app, C-O-Z-I.
I've heard of it.
It's a family app, really, really helpful. And what it does is it allows you to put everything in there where everybody's supposed to be, what everybody's supposed to be doing. And once you put that self-care time in there, that's that time for everyone to understand, hey, kiddos, this is where I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to be doing. And it doesn't hurt to schedule some self-care for them as well if you decide to go in that direction, because kids need the self-care too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm putting up your website right now just in case, so people don't have to, they can go find out more information on your website as well. I want people to know that.
I love what you said. You know, and I was able to talk to you a little bit earlier in the week and just told you I was like, I'll be real with everybody. I'm struggling, struggling like I've never struggled before. I always like to think that I'm a very positive person, but it's been really hard. But this morning and this day today has been significantly better than all of the rest because I got up an hour earlier than normal and went out, worked out, and like you said, started the day kind of quietly and doing something for myself. And it's made such a big difference. I didn't want to get out of bed, but I did, and I'm glad that I did now.
Right. Ralph, I want to visit back to your question real quickly. If you think of self-care as anything that rejuvenates you, that's exactly what it is. That may be just taking quick, deep breaths. 1, 2, 3 in and 1, 2, 3 out. That right there is rejuvenation and self-care within itself. I think we tend to think of it as something that we have to spend an absorbent amount of time. I actually encourage my clients to take time and schedule maybe 3 a day. So that way, if you miss out on this self-care activity in the morning, you may catch it on the end. But that's why it's important to schedule it as well.
So Mika agrees, Chris. She says working out helps, especially in the morning. And Amy Lou has a comment. She says, I have intellectual disabilities and the stress and anxiety gets to me because of what's going on. So I also struggle with a little bit of anxiety. And I think that everybody can relate that you're maybe running on adrenaline right now, but it's hard. It's not easy.
Right. It really is. We have to practice turning off the mind. A lot of that comes through meditation. I'm a big apps girl. I rely on some really cool apps to kind of get me through my day. Sanvello, Sanvello. And I'll spell it again, S-A-N-V as in Victor, egg, L-L-O. That is a wonderful meditation app. And what it does is it checks in on you to see how you're doing. It asks you, how are you doing? And then it kind of just monitors throughout the day how you're doing, and then gives you some recommendations at the end of your day of things to do. So Sanvello and Calm, C-A-L-M, you've probably heard of Calm. That's another great app just to prime your mind. It takes time to get your mind in that space, but daily you'll start seeing a difference.
You know what's funny too, CC, I have an Apple Watch or whatever, so I swear it knows when I'm about to go through the roof because it'll literally tell me to breathe, and I'm like, I don't have time to breathe. Like you just feel like you don't, but if you like where you're saying it could be as little as what, 60, 90 seconds where you take a moment.
That's it. It does not have to be long. It's about the allocated time that you have. But the biggest part of it is planning it in advance. Because what we tend to do is a knee-jerk reaction. Well, while Billy is asleep, let me try to hurry up and get some self-care in. And we really have to be more proactive. Just like you schedule everything else on your calendar, you got to put in that time on your calendar for self-care.
Well, and kids too. I mean, that's how they thrive, is in a schedule or something a little more constructive, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I know that I know my kids have said to me, they're like, man, I can't wait to go back to school. Like I didn't even, before it was like, oh, I don't want to go to school. But now maybe this is a good thing for all of us. We're realizing we do want to go to work and we do want to go to school.
It really depends on how you look at this. And you really have to have a paradigm shift. You have to step back and give yourself grace. I'm telling you, this is not quite business as usual. So what things can I start doing to kind of adapt to some of this is what we're really looking at.
Emmy Lou has a good point. She says she puts the country music on to help her relax. I found today, actually, my wife and I, we just turned off the TV. Nothing wrong with TV. But we turned it off for a little bit and put some music on, and it's a different experience. So, I mean, I think that's something that we forget as well. Like, turn off the noise and turn off something you want to see,
Yes, that's absolutely right. Lighting a candle. I'm a coloring book girl. I've taken out my coloring book every night.
Yeah. Or even like dancing. I was trying to do this little dance this morning on this app, and my 5-year-old, she literally said, Mom, you are terrible. And it just made me laugh. It made me smile. I was like, you try to do these moves, kid. But no, dancing and just moving your body, I imagine is super helpful as well.
It does.
We have another comment here. Barbara says, I'm a teacher, and this transition from classroom to virtual learning has been overwhelming. I make time to breathe every day and give myself grace often. We have a lot of teachers that are home right now. And you know what? My wife misses her students as well. My wife's also a teacher.
Yes. It has been, I'm sure, has been such a different process for our teachers. And thank you, Barbara, for chiming in. Barbara is a good friend, and she's another self-care advocate and really tries to push out there the importance of it. But teachers, I mean, right now, I can only just imagine, some of us probably feel guilty. Some of us probably feel, like you said, anxiety. Some of us feel like, what more can I do? This is really a unique place and time. And I think the first week, now tell me if this is fair. I think the first week we all went through this phase of just trying to be like, what the heck is going on?
Shock, yeah.
It was shock. Now this week we kind of have a little routine going. We got some things going, but we feel boredom creeping up on us a little bit. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not there yet.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. So I think that humans are social creatures. We need that. It's how we've always survived from the beginning of man, is socialize. And now we're told, don't get near anybody. And it's just this weird thing. So we socialize with our family. But honestly, this is why I enjoy these chats, because I get to interact with humans again. And maybe that's a way to connect again through social media in a healthy manner.
Absolutely. And for those who are struggling with the mental aspect of it, I encourage you to look. There are a few areas of self-care to focus on. Physical self-care is the one that we normally think about, but there's also spiritual self-care. There's also emotional health care. There's financial self-care. And if you do a quick Google search on these different types of self-care, it will give you a bunch of great ideas on different things that you can do in these different areas. And so the first thing that I would do is ask myself, which area of self-care do I want to focus on? Do I want to focus on the emotional, the spiritual, which aspect of that? And then just go find these activities, because that's what I hear: boredom. I don't know what else to do at this time.
Yeah. Well, and I think probably a lot of them need to focus on more than one. I mean,
absolutely.
Their jobs are in jeopardy. Some, I have health anxiety. So, the thought of getting sick, or somebody I love getting sick, freaks me out. Let's see. What does Tamika say? Stay focused on positive things instead of dwelling on the negative things, and don't let fear linger. That's great. It's sometimes easier said than done, but
yes, I was just about to say that is truthfully exactly what we need to be doing. Sometimes easier said than done, and that's why starting off the morning, affirmations, really training the mind to think in a space of positive, because there's also a stat out there that says 80% of the things that we worry about happening never even happen.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's pretty deep, because we can be consumed with that Twitter feed or going to the news websites. And yes, you need to understand what's happening. But if that's all you're consuming, you may have an unrealistic expectation of that the world's ending. And it's just not true.
It's just not true. It's just not true. And it's unfortunate that a lot of this is being poured out on us. But now we have to decide, what do I do with this information? I chew on what I need and I get rid of all the rest.
Yeah.
Do you see I'm sorry. You go, Christina. It's your turn. I talk too much.
It's okay. I don't want you to lose your thought, Ralph.
Yeah. So I want to know, I think there's a difference between men and women. And I don't know if you see that in your research as well, because my wife's pregnant and I almost feel like as a man, I can't be weak. And what it does is I don't admit to myself that this is hard. Yeah. And I wonder if other men do that too, or if it's a man-woman thing, or is it just me?
No, it is not just you. It is not just you. And my friend, that's where an emotional self-care, I would say, it's important for our guys to tap into as well. Figure out ways to healthily express these things that you need to get out. Self-care and work-life balance tend to be these female coined terms, only because women, we're more able to articulate it. But it does not mean that men do not struggle with this, if not sometimes even more, because the burden is so much more than what just you thinking about yourself, you know? And so I will tell you, a lot of men do struggle with it, but when I ask them, they say, absolutely, this is a space that I struggle with. I need some time. I need some help. I need to walk through this.
I love that. I'm going to piggyback off of that and then go to my other question. And my husband's standing right there, so I'm sure he's going to be like, oh,
hi, Matt.
he's off camera. But I was telling him yesterday, I'm like, I feel like he and I, we've been married for 12 years. I'm not great at math. A long time. Not 13. 12 years on Sunday. Oh, I have an anniversary. No, but I feel like he and I have such a strong relationship, and you know, for the most part, like, we don't ever fight. But I feel like in these times, it's been a little overwhelming. And I'm like, people that don't have a strong base, like, I don't know. I don't understand how they can come out of this and not be divorced. You know, I mean, it's just, it's so much. Like, do you have any advice for
I sure do. I do, because, you know, I'm dealing with it at my home as well. You know, daily, my husband and I are checking in on each other. How are you feeling? What's on your mind right now?
Yeah.
What's going on? You know, like inviting each other to have that space to talk about, you know, what is this really doing to you? Because while my husband and I, you know, both already worked from home prior to this, we feel it. I mean, everybody feels it, you know. And so it's really, really important for us to create a safe space to have conversations about this. No judgment.
Yeah.
And if we're not quite there, I'm strongly encouraging you to write out your thoughts, you know, strongly encouraging that. That's the only way we're going to get through this, is really just being honest about what it is and then extending grace towards one another.
Yeah. Do you want to read that?
Yeah. Well, John had brought up something I hadn't even thought of: virtual meals. So if you miss having meals with a loved one or your buddy, just call and set the camera up and enjoy a slice of pizza together or whatever. I mean, that's a way to connect with somebody. I mean, you don't have to fill all the space. You just sit there and eat, maybe listen to some music.
I love
Good
that.
idea, John. I'll call you later. We'll have some dinner together.
My girlfriends and I, we talked about it yesterday. We said we were going to have a happy hour and all get together. And I was like, this is the best happy hour ever, because you can just be comfy in your sweats and have your wine, and we can just all chat. But CC, you had actually, this is kind of a segue. You had brought up a good point. You were on Great Day Houston this morning, did the ABCs of, you know, all of this. But one of your tips was, what I thought was really helpful, is to ask for help. And when you first said that, I was like, wait, we can't, but we can ask for help. And you want to tell everybody?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We tend to go into this fight or flight by myself mode, you know, anytime a crisis comes, because we figure, well, everybody else is dealing with the same thing. So who am I going to call on. But there are so many resources around us. The example that I gave is for the parent who has meetings on a daily basis. Schedule a virtual play date. Your babysitter may still be around, grandpa, someone can sit there and keep your kid engaged during that time. But there are resources and so many people out here who are wanting to help. And I was sharing with someone else here recently that the best way to really come out on top through all of this is to find ways to help others.
Mm-hmm.
It truly, truly is. There is something so magical that happens, that sense that you get when you've helped someone. And it doesn't even always require you leaving home.
Right.
I'll give you an example. There was a young lady who was having a hard time finding baby formula for her baby. I went through and somehow found some formula, and shot it out there to her. Didn't even have to leave the home, So
it feels so good to do good,
It really does. It really does.
That as well.
CC, I was thinking about what you said earlier. For 80-90% of us out there, this thing is a big inconvenience, but it's not that worst case scenario. But some people are going to experience that. Some people are going to lose their jobs, or God forbid, get sick or lose a loved one themselves. I mean, at that point, you go into kind of the fight or flight mode. But what kind of self-care do you do in that situation when you're trying just to keep it together? I mean, I feel for those people.
Absolutely. I 100% feel for those people too. And it's very, 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 it's different for everyone. Everyone's experience and how they decide to handle this is completely different. Some people decide to do it in silos. I personally recommend reaching out to someone close, a confidant, someone who you can give this information to, because a lot of times when we get stuck up here, that's where all the confusion happens. But as we're talking to someone, they may be able to pour in and say, well, have you tried this? Or, hey, I know someone. This is the time to really start connecting and being honest with people, letting them know, hey, I'm struggling in this area. Do you think you can help me? A lot of resources once again out here. And even if you can't get the answer that you're looking for right then in that space, again, there is still something that is being done where you're able to just release it. You're able to think more clearly. You're able to get the wheels going. It's very important that you reach out.
I know that.
Go ahead, Chris. I was going to say, a buddy of mine named Scotty, he has this comment. He says he's putting together exercise routines to let him know if somebody needs help. He's a personal trainer. So everybody has resources out there. So because I don't know how to put an exercise regime together. So if you go to somebody who knows what they're doing, you can help them and they can help you at the same time. It's kind of that whole connection that CC was talking about.
That's it. LinkedIn, I'm sure, is everybody's best friend right now. Yeah. Everybody is networking at this point in time. And that's okay too. But what we have to remember, life has so many seasons, but we have to remember that we are more than equipped to get through those seasons. We just sometimes have to open our mouth and communicate and ask for the help. A lot of us are so self-sufficient. If you think about it, we all live pretty self-sufficient lives. We've never really had to depend on each other like we have now. And so we're having to come out of that comfort zone. I don't want to let people know I'm struggling with this, No,
it's real.
It's real.
And I think that bottling it up is the worst thing you can do. Like, I know I had texted Ralph a couple of days ago and I just, and then I said, sorry, just venting. And I just really I didn't need to hear anything back. I just needed to get it out, and sometimes releasing it, like you said, is the best thing you can do. And
here's the thing. She was venting about me. She was venting about me to me. That's what I thought was strange. I'm like, I don't know what to do about him.
I love
that. Yeah, getting it out is important. Getting it out is very important, and just being human, I think.
That's it. And please asking for the help. I cannot emphasize that enough. In fact, I do a 3-step formula that I teach in helping my clients with their self-care. The first thing that I do is I teach them how to set the tempo, which is asking for help.
Yeah.
Delegating some things. Because I have a lot of people who say, I just don't have the time. And there's a lot of people who are saying that right now. And a lot of this whole self-care piece really comes to play when you have help around you. There's no way that you can get everything done and not have the time in between to take care of you. So you may have to say, hey, Ralph, I need you to take over the dishes tonight so I can have some time for a nice bubble bath and just clear my mind.
Yeah.
Ask for help.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the second part, so ask for help. The second part is schedule the time. That's where you're actually finding the time. You're sharing the time. You're communicating the time. Because the other thing that happens is I get ready to take the time for self-care, but because I didn't communicate it to my family, they didn't know, they're stampeding all over my time, So I have to share that. And then the last thing that I have to do is I have to stick to the tune. And that's the part where you stay committed to it and you allow the changes to happen that need to happen. So I try to simplify it, I do, but it all starts with opening your mouth and asking.
Yeah. Well,
I love it. I think also once all this is passed, once all this is done, these same principles, we should have been doing them anyway. That's how I feel. Should have been doing them anyway. So maybe this is just a little bit of a learning lesson for all of us.
It is. And after this, we'll be so much better about it because constantly it's guilt and just having a hard time asking for help. If we can get past those two things, life might be easier.
Life might be easier. I like it. All right. So CC, tell everybody too. I know you go around and you're a keynote speaker and you're super inspirational, but how can people, if they want some more CC?
Sure. Well, I have something called my self-care circle. If you text 31996, I will send you some great ideas on how to, if you text care for me, so that's CARE, the number 4, and then me, care for me, to 31996, I'll send you some helpful tips to hold you accountable and to help you to remember to just take one day at a time. But again, that's care, the number 4, and then me. Send it to 31996 and I'll get you some information out. But I'm all over social media. I would love to connect. I'm here as a resource.
I told Ralph the other day, I was like, I just can't wait for you to hear your voice. Like, you're just so soothing. I'm like, can I just call you?
That's so good. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Come back and visit us again. I need more of this. I feel like I should send you a check or something for the therapy. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm here. And congratulations on this new one coming. When do you do?
August.
Oh, that's coming quick.
It is. I can't wait. Awesome.
That's exciting. Well, thank you again so much for having me. And keep making us smile. I was going down your timeline. I'm like, these two. Yes, I need this energy.
All right. Thanks, CC.
Take care.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.